YouTube, good morning. Good morning. I was thinking about a couple topics today. Uh, Thinking about a couple topics today. And I want to know if I can go with the. I'm playing on my little MIDI board here. High wind warning today. It is March 31st. March 31st. And a little MIDI board looks like this. We could run that sample right there. And it took me a whole day of working with it. I'm using Cubase 9. But I'm sitting here today and I want to grab a sound bite. And then I will go over to the main place where you guys see me at. Let me see, not there, not my library. I want to go here. Boom. To www.youtube.com. Get you in there. See if I can grab a sound bite. And I think hold on, let me do a little testing here. Turn my levels down. Lauryn Hill had a song that was really dope. I forgot what it was. Let me be patient. Let me be kind. I want to shut that off. Let me see what we're doing here. I want to see if I can grab this sound bite. So, why do we do this? I do it for the children. Who remembers that episode? Who remembers that episode? Why do I do what I do? I do it for the children. And this guy is so talented too. Let's do it again. Why do I do this? I do it for the children. You can take the children. That's all I need. But why are we doing this here? Going over to the selected keys. Why are we doing this? I would love to say that I do it for the children, but I want to do it for the adults too. I'm gonna come out with the company, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna speak it into fruition. The Pay It Forward Youth Foundation. What to Pay It Forward You? Pay It Forward You. I was going through YouTube Studio and I was reading Got my C4. One day, hopefully they gonna sponsor me. Adults drink C4, not too much, just enough to get the energy levels up. And I was reading one of the comments, and I was going through. I was explaining on YouTube why I like to teach and teach multiple songs at one time. Take the song. We're gonna go with Georgia. So let me see. Okay, FA. So I was explaining to the crowd or anybody that would listen at this point why I like to teach multiple songs and how it will grow your vocabulary, because you guys literally saw me take where we going with it? I thought we were going with the FA. Anyway, I forgot the chord structure. That means that means I need to remember the song. And when this happens, what I'm gonna do. Okay, I forced myself to remember. And you guys didn't see me go run and get the sheet music. I said, no, sit there and remember. And I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit today because I was, my wife was at the piano. No, she was playing and she got stuck and she was just like, I can't remember. And I said, no, you're going to remember. You're going to remember. In a world today where we have GPS, we have modern technology, we have all these things that do things for us, it is helpful, it is an assistant to us, but it also is a hindrance to us, where when you can't remember, you're just gonna be like, I can't remember. No, you're gonna activate. What we've done is we've shut a part of our brain down. No, I'm trying to activate that part of the brain. I said, no, remember. You're going to remember. I'm gonna bounce on to another topic before I go back to the other one, as why I do this. I went to my teacher's orientation, and the feedback that I was getting from the other person, there was only two of us, and she said, you really have some very good methods of teaching. I never thought of this. I never thought of that. And here's the thing, I didn't go to school for music. I didn't go to school for music. I didn't go to school to become a pool business owner. I did not go to school to understand how to do plumbing, even though I would love to. I didn't go to school to do electricity, even though if you guys see me hook up stuff, how's this guy fixing stuff and how's he doing plumbing? And back in the day, we used to have to blow out lines. That means that we would get a CO2 tank And if I can, I'm going to explain to you what a CO2 tank is, or give you an idea of what it is. Basically, if you take this, which is pressurized at some point, CO2 tank is similar, not a fire extinguisher, but it is compressed air that you can shoot down lines to clear out debris, jams, something lodged in the line. So, throughout my journeys in this pool industry, lines get lodged up. And do you know that, I used to depend on other contractors to come help, and it was hard getting them. They had their own stuff to do. I'm not going to even say they were mean, blah, blah, blah. They had their own business to run. So what I did was I figured out how to clear out the pool lines without using CO2, using a method called head pressure. There's nothing that I looked up either, which is weird. I said, I never even looked it up. I just looked at the equipment and I said, well, this has the ability to, we're dealing with 2 horses, 2 horsepower motor. That means that if 2 horses took off, that would be the equivalency of the force inside that motor. And what I did was I just took the diverter gate and I blocked the suction portion of it. And I let the pressure build up in the motor. And mind you, it ain't gonna blow up. Trust me, that was something I thought of. And I released it. And I kept doing that a couple of times and dislodged what was ever in the line. It was a pine cone about the size of a golf ball. So what I'm saying is that I have an aptitude for figuring things out. Call it a gift, call it a talent, and I got a GED, mind you. So it's not all about the you getting the doctor's degrees. When I tell people about my background, my parents took me out of high school because at that time I was getting in trouble with the gangs. How's that like? How's that like? How you guys like that for talk music? I was getting in trouble with the gangs. Remember we were doing the episode on how to create talk music, how to create the atmosphere. I was getting in trouble with the gangs, the gangster disciples at the time. The Blackstones in that era. It was 1996, 95. Bone Thugs and Harmony was out. Everybody thought they could be a YN, a gangster, a thugster. I was one of them. So they took me out of high school. And that was not the only factor, but because I had a tumultuous childhood, and that's going to be for another topic of conversation. I was already born in November, so I was already behind one level of schooling because of things that were going on in my household at the time. because of things that were going on in my household, I was held back another year in school, and then I had disciplinary problems. So I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I had all of these odds stacked against me. And to those of you that may be listening to this, those odds most likely may have been stacked against you too. But I went from that to just, maybe that was what created the drive in me. Somewhere around 26 years old, married the first time, and I was a lot. And mind you, I had potential. I finally landed a job with Ford. I sound like I'm telling the old story. Ford Motor Credit, and I had potential, and I was doing the metrics and making the numbers, but I still kept tossing that up. And my wife at that time said something to me very important, that a light bulb went off in my head, and that was, how do I expect to have children with you, or what are they gonna do if they come home and they keep seeing their father in this state? And do you know that? You know what? From that point on, I did a literally 180, and here I am today, business owner, piano lover. Aspiring piano lover, educator, was attending college for psychology and theology and Christian counseling, or I should say, yeah, it was counseling, or Christian counseling. It's based off of Christian counseling, psychology, and theology, because I want to figure out what was wrong with people. Why do we pass on toxicity to our next generation? And that leads me to the topic of conversation. Why do I do this? I'm not doing this for the likes, the views, even though those are important. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and share. I'm doing this, even if I'm speaking to one person, I am doing this because I am really concerned about the future of I am really concerned about the future, the next generation. I'm not even concerned about me or people my age. I'm 47 years old. I've lived a very interesting, tasteful life where I can tell you some very interesting experiences from the top to the bottom, where you can be like, you lived. Like if I happen to, if the good Lord take it to me right now, the only thing that I could say I didn't have was children. It's the only thing. That's the only thing, and it's not a regret, but it's kind of like if I had the opportunity to, and I told somebody this, I said, if I had the opportunity to go back in time, I said, if I had the opportunity to make a movie, I would actually make a movie with me going backwards in time and running into my father as a 15, 16-year-old fella, and he would have a father, which would be my grandfather. This would be a very cool movie. Writers, help me out. I got a cousin, and I give her a call today. But I do this because it's like I look around and I'm saying, look, for the children, I'm concerned about their future, and for adults, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Let me know what you guys are doing. It's like, do we stop? Do we stop learning? And I know a lot of us are, well, I'm going to get my retirement, and we were never, and I'm going to come to you from a biblical standpoint from the book that I read. If you are of any other religion, shout those out in the comment sections. I'm very interested in what you believe in. You know, some people believe in reincarnation, and Tupac said, man, if I had to come back to this world," in one of his rap songs, that'd be look, that'd be horrible. But I believe that we were not meant to retire. You know, 900 some odd years, according to the book that I read, the first man lived, and he saw generations after generations after generations. And here's the thing about that: if you don't believe in the Bible or that story, think about this. What was the use of God even creating man and saying, "Be fruitful and multiply," if you couldn't even see, if you couldn't live out to see your fruit? You couldn't live out and be like, man, yeah, you know, Adam's there, and I believe they said Methuselah was living at the same time, 300 years younger. You know, a lot of times it just ends at our grandparents. Think about that, where we don't get to see our great grandparents and our great great grandparents and our great 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 grandparents. It was never meant to be like that. Yeah, so I'm starting to even put the pieces together there. But going back to the topic at hand, I do this because I want to encourage you guys. I want to encourage you guys to, you know, get out of the rigmarole. You know, my wife stressed to me about she said, "Well, I weigh this much now." And I'm like, I'm not even having that conversation with you, because we've talked about that conversation. And you have a living example. You have an example of someone living with you. You got an example of, you know, I think Jesus even said to what was his disciples of that generation, he said, "Look, we gonna be more blessed than the apostles, because we haven't seen any of these things, and yet we still believe." He said, Jesus said, y'all got me in the flesh believing. I said, there's gonna be a generation that hasn't even seen. You know, I'm probably one of those. I'm like, look, man, I don't care what people say. How can the Bible not be real? Blah blah. I say, you believe in that airplane that's flying up in the sky. There's a time people couldn't even believe that. But I digress. But it's like, no, because I want to see you guys make your goals. I want to see you guys actually living your best life. It's like, if I have a music school, it's not going to be solely me reaching out to the children. We're not babysitters. Dude, can I bring that in? I can't bring it in. I need to get my other camera there. We're not babysitters, or I'm not a babysitter. That's not what it's about. What it's about is that I want parent and child to build a bonding relationship, other than trips, other than you know, sitting down watching TV. I had and I'm gonna mention his name. He was a neighbor of mine. His name was Chase. Very cool dude. If you go back on my YouTube, you'll see where we were having water balloon fights, and Chase is no longer here. But I'm gonna speak his name because I believe we don't go anywhere. That was his name, Chase, but he was battling some issues. What I did notice, and here's the thing, when he was battling these issues, I wish I could have said, "Hey, can I help you?" You know, he had another neighbor say the same thing. You know, but sometimes these I'm not gonna say demons. Everybody likes to put them on the demons. Sometimes they get a hold, blah blah blah. For whatever reason, sometimes our desires. The Bible says that the reason why we do the negative things that we do is from the evil desires within our heart. Demons ain't got nothing to do with that. They may say go toss this up, go drink this, look that way, blah blah blah. But but literally we gotta have a self check in our heart first. Why do I want to do that? You know, when I think about, I'm man, what's going on, brother? How do you feel? You know, like I asked my wife yesterday when she told me this issue, I said, are you depressed? I've literally asked myself that question. Are you depressed? And coming from my background in counseling, you know, I know the right questions to ask. I say, do you need to do some soul searching? Because the first thing that happens when people start getting depressed is they start letting themselves go. You know, how are you reflecting? Do you miss your family? What's going on? How may I help you? So back to the original question at hand. Why do I do this? I know we had a clip by Barnell, who was played by Tommy Davidson, phenomenal actor, artist. Is not only do we do it for the children, I do it for families. I do it because I believe in a close knit family. I even said to my wife, I said, man, it would be cool if I could jump something like this if we, meaning you, meaning her, meaning the community, if we could jump something off like this and we start going to these schools for scholarships, pushing these kids forward for scholarships. And we're not even talking about music, but we're talking about engineer. We're talking about Texas A&M, because I'm in the chemistry field with the pool water. And I know people might be like, what's pool water got to do with chemistry? You just don't know. You know, if I could reach out to the Water Conservation District and say, hey, what other classes do you guys have that can advance these children's children? I'm all for a well-working economy. It should have been Joshua 2025. It's not even white. It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a gay thing. It's not a LGBTQ thing. It's a money thing. I said I'm not focusing on if somebody's transgendering and they're feeling that they should have been something else. I'm not focusing on that when they can't feed their families first. When they can't feed, let's focus on at least excelling our children, feeding our families, a good living workable wage. And I said we're not going to get better as an economy because the prices of housing are still insane. But anyway, I'm moving off to another topic, but I'm doing this and my form of expression is with music. You know, if you guys had a chance to roll with me throughout the day, I'll say, hey, saddle up. You know, you got shotgun. Ride with me throughout the day. Find out what I do other than music. You know, ride with me to the gym. Let's have conversations. I don't even have to talk to you. You can just ask me questions or you can just observe. But that's the reason why I do this. I do this to hopefully encourage those that are listening. I've come to a point in life where I do. There are certain people that I can't give you the drive that I have. I can't. I try to give people the drive. I try to, hey, let's do this. I try, and what that ends up doing is that actually ends up diminishing my drive, because when I see that I'm just giving it away and the people aren't acting on it, I get discouraged. I'm like, well, I just wasted my breath. You know, even though I want to help, and it's like the episode even when I was talking to my wife yesterday, I said, I can't even have this conversation with you. I can't. I've tried so many conversations, and I was like, at this point, you got to do what you got to do. And for me, that means just take off and continue driving. But that's the reason why I do this. I want to see you guys do really well. I mean, I know a lot of us we might have more years, so to speak, behind us than we do ahead of us. But man, let's have a fun time with those years ahead of us. Let's learn some new music. Let's learn a new language. I want to see. I mean, don't you want to see what the capability is of your brain? You know, they say that we only use a certain amount of our brain, and I'm very interested to see what else can I do? What else can I overcome? What other information? What other what's something that I can share? Since we're talking on the fact of music, what can I give away? And I know somebody's gonna yell out, "Give me some money!" That's gonna come too. You got you got clips of Marvin Sapp demanding $1,000 to those that are listening online, and a thousand to the. And I thought about something. I said, Jesus, man, when he finished preaching, he just, hey, can I take these loaves right here? And he gave. He broke bread and began to multiply, and he started giving. He didn't only give, but he gave enough where people had enough portions to take home with them. And he gave enough that at the end, there was still whole baskets of Popeye's chicken with and we're not talking about the Popeyes now. We talking about the 90s Popeyes where the biscuits with them biscuits. Where the fried chicken was the fried chicken. We talking about the Popeyes chicken, on the Latin side of Chicago where I said, man, this is some really good Popeyes chicken. He gave freely. I want to be like that. You can't let me be a Elon Musk. You can't even let me reach a Jay-Z or Oprah status, because I'm giving. I'm going to a community, and one at a time I'm giving. I'm going to give first, and then I'm going to go get. And you can be like, what does that mean? I'm giving first, and then I'm going to our same government that gave money to Ukraine, all these billions of dollars. I'm giving first from my stash of what I can, and then I'm going to get. I'm like, this is what we've done. This is what we've done as a community, and this is what we need. Peace, guys.